JD Vance, the vice president.
What the hell happened to JD?
Ooh, fast on that one. Did an interview with Maria Bartiromo. And this came after there was a plan for a meeting with Vance and other top officials, Bondi, Patel, Susie Wiles, the chief of staff. And then it leaked that was happening, and they panic deleted plans for that meeting. Because I guess they thought it looked bad for them to be all huddling, figuring out what is their Epstein plan, which was supposedly the subject matter of that meeting. Vance was asked about that in this interview. We'll look at it and lots of other moments.
Can you give us some clarity on this meeting that is reportedly happening or happened last night at the White House about the Epstein files and how you're communicating the Epstein story?
So I've seen so many different fake reports about this. So let me set the record straight. There was no meeting at my house last night. There just wasn't.
Was there a meeting at the White House?
We did meet at the White House yesterday, but not at the time that they said that we were going to meet, and not about the subject that they said that we were going to meet about. We have a great FBI director and
JD, a little bit nervous. No, the truth is, they had the meeting scheduled. It was going to be about dealing with the Epstein scandal. It leaked, so then they panic canceled. That's what it was. And then I believe they ended up talking about that subject at the White House meeting he's talking about. I honestly don't know why they're so hesitant to just admit that. Now admitting they canceled it would look bad, but why did they cancel in the first place? Is it because it put a lot of pressure out? The media knew it was happening to have some result afterwards that they would roll out? Like, hey, actual transparency, despite him repeating in this interview a bunch of times. Trump has been so clear he wants transparency. Really, JD? He keeps talking about his BS. That's not transparency. But meeting about it, given how much pressures being put on the administration, would seem rational. I guess, and this is the case, it's a bad look to be doing a strategy session instead of just saying, Trump, release what you have, or allow the DOJ to release what they have and actually be transparent. But instead saying, what games can we play? What talking points can we trot out? All very strange.
Great Department of Justice lead, Attorney General Pam Bondi, and we met to talk about how to ensure we have justice for the American people. We actually didn't talk about the Epstein issue at all. That was never meant to be the subject of the meeting. And it's one of those things where I guess somebody leaked a calendar entry maybe, and then people assumed that it must have been about Epstein, even though it had nothing to do with Epstein. On the Epstein issue, what the president has said very clearly, because we've had other meetings about that, is that he wants us to be fully transparent and he wants the credible information out there. So we're working to compile the thousands and thousands of documents that are out there.
Is that what Trump said? Trump has been very clear that he wants all credible information released and full transparency. And then Fox News, who's just state TV, has a lower third chyron that says full transparency sought in Jeffrey Epstein case.
Bullshit.
Except for every single thing that Trump is doing all the time with this case. Like, is it full transparency for teams of FBI agents to be going through and redacting Trump's name as much as they can and finding all the places where it pops up? Or even he gets asked about a different part, James Comer sending out subpoenas, and he's subpoenaing the Clintons and all of these enemies of Trump about Epstein supposedly, but didn't subpoena Alex Acosta. Obviously, he's not going to subpoena Trump, but then even Trump's former labor secretary, who was the one who gave the sweetheart deal to Epstein years ago. Transparency, they say, though. Pam Bondi, what's interesting is, despite Vance trying to go, there's no panic here, we weren't going to talk. There is, and one more subtle sign of that is that people like Pam Bondi, Dan Bongino, Kash Patel, who frequented Fox News, have just disappeared from Fox News, and they're not doing interviews anymore, and they're in hiding in that way. Pam Bondi was a Fox News regular. Then the Epstein scandal happened and she vanished, Mediaite reports. This was about the Comer subpoenas.
Was it the right move for Comer to send subpoenas to the Clintons?
It absolutely was, and it drives home how, while the Democrats have tried to make this Epstein thing about anything but, the fact that Democrat billionaires and Democrat political leaders went to Epstein Island all the time. Who knows what they did, but it's totally reasonable to ask these questions. What you saw in the House's subpoena is they are trying to investigate all all of the things related to this particular case. I know a lot of Americans want answers. I certainly want answers. And I think James Comer and the team of the House, they're doing the right thing. And of course, we know that Clinton, or allegedly he went to the island 26 times, 28 times. Totally appropriate for Comer to be asking what was going on at that island.
Yes. But our thing is, you don't have to redact Clinton's name. Leave it. You don't have to not release documents about Clinton. Release him. You are the ones who, I still can't follow what they're saying is the truth, because I thought they said they didn't have the stuff, but now they're saying there is the stuff to find out, and we're going to get to the bottom of it. It just doesn't relate to Trump. Daily Beast reports Republicans subpoena everyone and anyone over Epstein except Trump and Alex Acosta. But sure, subpoena all the people. We don't care. Then on a different topic, Vance keeps getting asked if he's going to run for president and does the kind of typical, I'm not thinking of that. While we continue to do this, please do click the subscribe button if you appreciate the show.
Well, look, the president has been floating you along with Marco Rubio as your partner for the next election. Have you spoken to Secretary Rubio about this?
I saw Marco about a month ago. We just laughed at the whole thing because neither one of us are focused on politics. We're focused on actually doing a good job for the American people.
So just if you're new to politics, politicians always say that, and they do the typical and all they're thinking about all the time since the day they first ran for their first office was becoming president one day. All Vance is thinking about in every single moment is, how do I leverage this to become president? Which makes the like you'll see here a second time so cringe.
Vice President, what do you make of President Trump's comments last week about you the likely front runner in 2020?
I don't want to talk about
Just president of the U.S.? What? No. I just sold my soul, abandoned all the things I previously said about Trump, started serving a guy who I previously said could be America's Hitler because I thought it'd be fun. I didn't do that to climb the ladder to president. Pfft. Me? Now, apparently, the expectation is, like you keep hearing it brought up, it could be Vance and Marco Rubio. Ugh. That just doesn't seem, like, say what you will about Trump, terrible, but he has something. He has something going on there that seems to compel people. Marco Rubio I don't think he compels his own wife. I don't know how he could. And then Vance, I mean, how do you become president with the Vance memes that are out there? I don't know how that even works. But Katie Miller, who is Stephen Miller's wife, yes, Stephen Miller has a wife. That's crazy. It's not just like, we don't have that angle. We have a skeleton over here. It's not just like a skeleton that he kisses that's like his late aunt who he murdered. It's not that. He has a real human wife, a human being that said to del death do us part to Stephen Miller. Do you know Stephen Miller? That is, guys out there, if you're struggling to find love, I hope this doesn't make you feel worse. Stephen Miller, and I know as Trump says, no, you can't say beautiful anymore, a beautiful wife. What is wrong with the world? I know great guys who cannot find their soulmate. And Stephen Miller as a wife. Blink twice if he's holding you hostage, Katie. Anyway, so she launched a podcast, and I guess Marco and JD are just the match made in heaven.
Some Marco questions. What's the most surprising thing you've learned about Marco?
He also has a sweet tooth, which, he's in great shape. He works out, but he can, house ice cream to the point where half the time that I see Marco in the hallway, it's because he's just been down to the Navy mess in the White House and he's gotten a bunch of ice cream.
Marco Rubio is known as a funny jokester. What's the funniest joke he's told you? Or the funniest moment you've had with him? Okay, so you guys will have to determine whether we can actually put this in the final. We can cut it if not. We can cut it if not.
We were talking about something very serious related to the Middle East, and he starts this joke totally deadpan. He's like, I learned something interesting about the Middle East because I had a constituent call a few years ago when I was in the Senate, and a woman was visiting Israel, and her husband died while they were in Israel. And I was like, oh man, that's terrible. And she was trying to get help from us for how to get the body back to the United States. And she said to me, you know, man, I don't know, maybe I don't want it back. The last time somebody the last time somebody died over here, they rose from the dead 3 days later. And I didn't know until the very end.
Because Jesus. Yeah. Wow, that's a new one I haven't seen. JD Vance meme. All right, so Marco's a funny guy. The only time I remember laughing in the context of Marco Rubio was his response to an Obama State of the Union.
On foreign policy, America continues to be indispensable to the goal of global liberty, property, and safeguarding human rights. The world is a better place when America is the strongest nation on earth. But we can't remain powerful if we don't have an economy that can afford it. In the short time that I've been here in Washington, nothing has frustrated me more than false choices like the one the President laid out tonight. The choice isn't just between big government or big business. What we need is an accountable, efficient...
This is real. Is that crazy? That's a real... It's not AI. It's not an SNL skit. Yeah, I don't know what the water drinking problems are with these MAGA peeps.
17,000 jobs. Thank you. Well, they don't have water. That's okay. What? No, it's okay. Oh. In China, we also announced $250 billion worth in trade investment deals that will create jobs in the United States.
Yeah, so maybe it'll be Marco, vice president. Now, Katie Miller, Stephen Miller's wife, is started this podcast. I saw her announcement video, and let me just play for you some of it.
Hi, I'm Katie Miller. Welcome to my podcast and welcome to my living room. You may be wondering what I'm doing here hosting a podcast. It seems
my husband. No. Stephen Miller's just behind the camera with postcards. You might be asking why I'm hosting a podcast. It is not against my will, and I am happily married to Stephen Miller. I have not seen him murder not one single person. I have not seen him take one of those stirring things for cake batter and stick it down the throat of our cleaning lady until she died. I have not seen that.
these days, just about everyone has a podcast. For years, I've watched from the sidelines as people I know, people I respect, have hosted TV shows, radio shows, podcasts, you name it. And I thought, hey, I could do that too. And why? Because for years I've seen that there isn't a place for conservative women to gather online. There isn't a place for a mom like me, mom of 3 young kids, 4, 3.
So that was the part that I have made it a mission of mine to never, and maybe I failed at this, but to never pretend like I invented the wheel in whatever thing I'm doing, right? To never be like, why did I start this show? Because absolutely no one can do it like me. Why did I start this show? Because there's not a place for young liberals to gather. Why? Because I think I can be the voice of the masses. Like, what does she mean there's not a place for conservative? Isn't Megyn Kelly a mom and really famous and doing a really big podcast? There's just no conservative women in media. There's not one. Turn on Fox News. It's just like a bunch of conservative women prototypes, mass produced. I think they're there. They're there. You could do a podcast, great, but I think we need to stop with this. Like, starting a podcast is this moment of like you're the founder. Like, I can't think of a good analogy, but this triumphant event. You're just clicking on a recording thing and you're posting it. That's it. It's okay. It's cool. I like it, but I'm not George Washington. back to the Vance interview. That was a long little tangent.
Meanwhile, we're still waiting for accountability on the whole Russia collusion made-up story.
Yes.
Now that DNI, Tulsi Gabbard, has released all of those classified documents, we're actually seeing who was behind all of this. Do you want to see indictments?
I absolutely want to see indictments, Maria. Look, of course, you've got to have the law follow the facts here. You don't just indict people to indict people. You indict people because they broke the law. But if you look at what Tulsi and Kash Patel have revealed in the last couple of weeks.
So this is about their Obama conspiracy, right? That he fabricated lies, we bunked them, but he engaged in treasonous conspiracy by framing Trump for Russia helping him in the 2016 election. This is a good chance because he goes, what Tulsi found is, and then he's about to explain. Let's see. They're saying that Obama and company could be prosecuted for this. So what is the this? Let's see if we can decipher.
I don't know how anybody can look at that and say that there wasn't aggressive violations of the law. What they basically did is they defrauded the American people in order to take Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign talking points and turn them into intelligence by defrauding the American people, defrauding the intelligence agencies, lying about what the intel said. They would take something that supported a Hillary Clinton campaign talking point and they would overemphasize it and exaggerate it. They took anything that actually contradicted that narrative and they buried it deep. And through that, they actually laundered Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign talking points through the American intelligence services. That's a violation of the people's trust. That's a violation of what our intelligence services.
So did you notice a lot of words there? The first line was bonkers. It was they defrauded the American people by laundering the Hillary Clinton campaign by defrauding intelligence. What? And then he gives a more specific example, and it's they would emphasize things that were negative for Trump and bury things that were positive for Trump as they were investigating Russia's meddling. So, first of all, just being more concerned, he still wouldn't be able to substantiate even that claim, but being more concerned with what Russia was doing, like going, hey, we need to give some attention to the fact that Russia did do XYZ to meddle in the election. Makes sense that would get more attention than as they went through and checked off, okay, they weren't able to flip votes, which was never the argument, or other investigations that came to the conclusion they weren't able to successfully meddle in this way or that way. Maybe that's what he's saying. But this has been a really embarrassing, because what happened was, I think Tulsi hyped it up even privately. Like, I got the stuff. It's going to prove what Trump has wanted to prove for so long, that it was all bogus. And then they ran with it. Now they overpromised. And now they're in a tough situation with MAGA, where MAGA goes, all right, you promised, prosecute them. They know they probably can't actually do that without being humiliated out of court. Bondi's kind of moving forward, but they're stuck between a rock and a hard place. JD Vance went fishing. Also, I thought you should see this, with the UK foreign minister, I think it was. And I just thought I'd love to be like standing on that shoreline so I could drown myself in the water. Guys, can you imagine fishing with JD Vance? Picture yourself sitting, look at his outfit, and fishing with JD Vance. I got a bass. Ugh. And imagine sitting with JD Vance, and he goes, all right, I got this funny joke, right? So someone that died, and they said that, well, I don't want them to come back because the last person died came back. God, Jesus. That's a zinger. Wait, I got another one. Wait. That would be tough. Share your thoughts in the comments.